Why being nice isn't always enough. You know that person who's always agreeable? The one who never makes waves, never says no, always has a smile plastered on their face no matter what's happening? Yeah, we all know someone like that. Maybe you are that person. Here's a question that's going to make you uncomfortable. What if being nice is actually making you weaker? Not kinder, not better, weaker. Let me show you something. There are two guys at your office. Mike is nice. Everyone loves Mike. Mike brings donuts on Fridays. Mike always says yes when you need help. Mike works late without complaining. Mike got passed over for promotion. Again. Then there's David. David's not mean, but he's not nice either. David says no. David pushes back. David challenges ideas in meetings. David makes people slightly uncomfortable sometimes. David just got promoted to director. What's the difference? Mike is nice. David has self-respect. Now, before you click away thinking this is just another be an asshole self-help video, stick with me, because what I'm about to tell you is way more nuanced and way more important than that. Here's the uncomfortable truth. Society loves nice people. You know why? Because nice people are easy to control. Think about it. When you were a kid, what did adults reward? Being nice, being quiet, not causing trouble, not asking too many questions. Just smile and do what you're told. And if you resisted, you were difficult. You were a problem. We've been trained since childhood to equate being liked with being valuable, to confuse acceptance with self-worth, to believe that if we just keep everyone else comfortable, we'll somehow become worthy of love and respect. But here's what nobody tells you. Respect and likability are not the same thing. Friedrich Nietzsche saw this pattern everywhere in society. He watched people surrender their power, their authenticity, their very selves, just to avoid conflict, just to be accepted, just to be nice. Nietzsche called these people the herd. And before you get defensive, hear me out. He wasn't being cruel. He was being honest about something we all feel but rarely acknowledge. He wrote, "The individual has always had to struggle to keep from being overwhelmed by the tribe. If you try it, you will be lonely often and sometimes frightened. But no price is too high to pay for the privilege of owning yourself." Read that again. The privilege of owning yourself. Because that's what we're really talking about here. When you're being nice all the time, constantly managing everyone else's emotions, always saying yes when you mean no, always swallowing your truth to keep the peace, you're not being kind. You're abandoning yourself. Now here's where it gets really personal. What are you actually afraid of? You think you're afraid of conflict. You think you're afraid of being disliked. But that's not it. You're afraid that if people see the real you, the one with boundaries, with opinions, with needs, they'll discover you're not actually valuable, that your worth was only ever in your usefulness. That if you stop being nice, you'll stop being loved. Sound familiar? This is the shadow that nice people carry, the terror that their entire identity is built on quicksand, that they've spent their whole lives performing agreeability because deep down they don't believe they're enough just as they are. Let me tell you something. That fear, it's not irrational. It's not in your head. Because here's the thing, some people will abandon you when you start having boundaries. Some people will get upset when you stop being endlessly accommodating. But those aren't the people who loved you. Those are the people who loved what you did for them. Nietzsche understood this distinction perfectly. He watched people sacrifice themselves on the altar of others' approval, and he recognized it for what it was, a form of self-violence masquerading as virtue. He said, "I'm not upset that you lied to me. I'm upset that from now on I can't believe you." But here's what's interesting. He could have been talking about the lies we tell ourselves. Every time you say "I'm fine" when you're not, every time you agree when you disagree, every time you smile through your exhaustion, you're lying. And eventually, you can't even believe yourself anymore. So let's talk about the actual mechanism at work here. What's really happening in your psychology when you choose niceness over authenticity? You're engaging in what Nietzsche called slave morality. Now, that sounds harsh. I know. But stay with me. Nietzsche divided human values into two categories: master morality and slave morality. Master morality says, I am good, therefore what I value is good. Slave morality says, they are bad, therefore whatever opposes them is good. Nice people operate entirely in slave morality. Your entire value system is defined by opposition to what you've been taught is bad conflict. Selfishness. Making others uncomfortable. You've built your identity around not being those things. But here's the problem. When your entire morality is reactive, when you're always defining yourself by what you're not, you never actually discover what you are. You become a hollow people pleaser, a mirror that reflects whatever others want to see, and slowly, imperceptibly, you disappear. Think about it. When was the last time you expressed a real opinion that might upset someone? When did you last say no to something you genuinely didn't want to do? When did you last prioritize your own needs over someone else's comfort? If you're struggling to answer these questions, you're not being nice. You're being complicit in your own erasure. Now here's what nobody talks about. This isn't just a personal problem. It's a systemic one. Because society needs nice people. Capitalism needs nice people. The system needs workers who don't push back, consumers who don't question, citizens who don't make trouble. Nice people don't unionize. Nice people don't demand raises. Nice people don't challenge authority. Nice people keep their heads down and do what they're told. Your niceness isn't just a personality trait. It's a survival strategy in a world that punishes authenticity and rewards conformity. Nietzsche saw this clearly in his own time. He watched the church, the state, the entire social order use guilt and shame to keep people docile, to convince them that their own desires were sinful, that their own needs were selfish, that their own power was dangerous. He wrote, "The surest way to corrupt a youth is to instruct him to hold in higher esteem those who think alike than those who think differently." Translation: we're taught to value sameness over truth, agreement over authenticity, being nice over being real. And this corruption starts young. It starts with play nice with others. It continues with don't make a scene. It culminates in a lifetime of self-betrayal disguised as social grace. Let me give you a historical example that drives this home. Nietzsche himself wasn't nice. At all. He was prickly, difficult, often isolated. He challenged everything: religion, morality, philosophy, society itself. And you know what happened? He spent much of his life lonely, misunderstood, and dismissed. But he owned himself. His sister literally rewrote his work after his death to make it more palatable, more nice, more acceptable to the Nazi regime. She erased his edges, softened his challenges, made him into something he never was. That's what happens when you prioritize being nice over being true. Others will reshape you into whatever serves their purposes. And if you've already abandoned yourself, you won't even be there to resist. Nietzsche also wrote, "He who has a why to live can bear almost any how." The nice person has no why. They have a million hows. How to make others happy, how to avoid conflict, how to be liked, but no why, no purpose beyond approval, no meaning beyond acceptance. And that's not living. That's just existing in a shape that others find convenient. So how do you know if you've fallen into this trap? Let me give you some recognition signs. 1. You regularly feel resentful, but smile anyway. You say yes, and then feel angry about it later. Your niceness has a bitter aftertaste. 2. You can't make decisions without checking how others will react. Your internal compass has been replaced by an external approval-seeking radar. You don't know what you want, only what others want from you. 3. You feel exhausted by social interaction even though you're good at it. Being nice takes enormous energy when it's not authentic. You're performing constantly, and the show is draining you dry. 4. You apologize constantly, even for things that aren't your fault. Sorry has become your default response to existing in the world. You've internalized the belief that your presence is an inconvenience. 5. You can't remember the last time you expressed anger appropriately. You've convinced yourself that anger is always bad, always destructive. You've become disconnected from one of your most important emotional signals. You already know this, don't you? You've felt it. That hollowness, that sense that you're living someone else's life, that quiet desperation that comes from abandoning yourself one yes at a time. Now here's the thing. I'm not telling you to become an asshole. That's just niceness, inverted, still reactive, still defined by opposition, still not authentic. What I'm telling you is to become sovereign. Sovereignty means owning your boundaries. It means saying no without elaborate justification. It means expressing your truth even when it makes others uncomfortable. It means choosing respect over likability when they conflict. Here's the practical application. Start small. Say no once this week without apologizing or explaining. Just no, that doesn't work for me. Watch what happens. Some people will respect it. Some people will be confused. Some people will be upset. And that's information. The people who respect your boundary, those are your people. The people who push back against it, those are the people who were invested in your compliance, not in you. Nietzsche said, "The snake, which cannot cast its skin, has to die. As well, the minds, which are prevented from changing their opinions, they cease to be mind." You're shedding a skin right now. The skin of niceness that never quite fit. The skin of people-pleasing that was always too tight. The skin of self-abandonment that was slowly suffocating you. It's going to be uncomfortable. You're going to disappoint people. You're going to be misunderstood. Some relationships will end, and that's okay. Because here's what Nietzsche understood that most people don't. The goal isn't to be comfortable. The goal is to be alive. So what becomes possible when you stop being nice and start being real? First, you discover who you actually are, not the performance, not the accommodation, not the endless adaptation to others' needs. You. The irreducible, complicated, sometimes difficult, always authentic you. Second, you attract different people, not the ones who need you to be small, not the ones who require your constant caretaking, but the ones who want to know the real you. The ones who value boundaries because they have their own. Third, you reclaim your energy. All that effort you were spending managing everyone else's emotions, all that calculation about how to please everyone, that energy comes back to you. And you get to use it for something that actually matters. Fourth, you become genuinely kind instead of just nice. Kindness comes from fullness. Niceness comes from fear. When you're not abandoning yourself, you can actually show up for others from a place of authenticity instead of obligation. And here's the thing that might surprise you. You become more effective, not less. Because people trust authenticity. They trust clear boundaries. They trust someone who says what they mean. David got promoted not because he was mean, but because people knew where they stood with him. They knew he'd tell them the truth. They knew his yes meant yes, and his no meant no. Mike stayed stuck because nobody ever knew what he really thought. Nobody trusted his opinions because he never had any. His niceness made him forgettable. Nietzsche wrote near the end of his working life, "My formula for greatness in a human being is amor fati, that one wants nothing to be different, not forward, not backward, not in all eternity. Not merely bear what is necessary, still, less conceal it, but love it. Love your fate. Love your truth. Love yourself enough to stop betraying who you are for the comfort of others." This doesn't mean becoming harsh. It doesn't mean losing compassion. It means grounding your compassion in strength instead of weakness. It means offering kindness from a place of sovereignty instead of submission. Because here's what I want you to understand. The world doesn't need more nice people. The world needs more authentic people, more sovereign people, more people who own themselves completely and therefore can genuinely show up for others. Being nice is easy. Being real is hard. But only one of them leads to a life worth living. So I'm going to leave you with a question. What would change in your life if you started respecting yourself as much as you respect everyone else? Think about that. Really think about it. And if this resonates with you, if you recognize yourself in Mike or in the nice person you've been performing for years, do me a favor. Don't just watch this and forget it. Make one change this week. One boundary, one authentic no, one moment of choosing self-respect over being liked. Drop a comment and tell me what you're going to change. What's the first boundary you're going to set? I want to hear about it. And if you want more content that challenges you to stop performing and start living, hit that subscribe button, because we're just getting started. Remember, you don't need permission to own yourself. You just need courage. Now go be free.